In life, we don't always recognize our own worth until we decide to step back from unhealthy relationships. Sometimes, we get caught up in emotional whirlwinds, becoming puppets in someone else's hands without even realizing it. But what happens when you decide to pull away? When you choose to focus on yourself and leave behind those who once took you for granted? This isn't just an act of strength, but a turning point in the relationship where others begin to realize the loss they once overlooked. When you no longer chase after them, no longer respond to their signals, what will happen? They will experience an initial shock, then slowly move through stages of denial, curiosity, and finally, growing insecurity. They might become desperate or decide to walk away, but one thing is certain: they will deeply feel your absence. So, are you ready to explore what really happens when others realize they've lost you? Join us as we delve into these turning points and discover how your absence can become the most powerful voice in your relationship. 1. Initial shock. When someone who has always taken you for granted suddenly realizes you've lost interest, they undergo a profound psychological shock. This is the moment when everything they once considered certain begins to crumble. This sudden change isn't just surprising. It's a severe blow to their ego. They were used to you always being there, always ready to meet their needs, and suddenly, that's no longer the case. It's like a play that's been following the same script, but one day, the main character, you, decides to change your role without any warning. They are caught off guard, unable to understand why you've stopped participating in the story they once controlled. What was once familiar now feels foreign, and they begin to feel powerless without the comfort of your presence. This shock doesn't just come from losing your attention, but also from the realization that they underestimated your value. They never thought you would withdraw, and when it happens, it leaves them feeling lost and confused. They're left wondering how everything could change so quickly, and this makes them feel like they've lost control of the situation. In this moment, the imbalance in the relationship becomes apparent. The one who once held power is now lost, and you, the person they once took for granted, suddenly become the catalyst for change. This initial shock is the first step in leading them through a complex emotional journey, which will ultimately make them realize the true value of your presence or your absence. 2. Denial. After the initial shock of realizing you've changed, the next step they typically go through is denial. This is the stage where they cling to the comfort of old habits, convincing themselves that this change is only temporary. They don't want to face the reality that you are gradually pulling away, so they create excuses to explain your actions. In their mind, your silence is just a passing phase, perhaps because you're busy or need some space. They believe that you'll soon return to how things were, that everything will go back to normal after a short time. This denial is not just a defense mechanism, but also a way to delay confronting the painful truth that they might have lost you. They might also mistake your withdrawal as a test, thinking that you're challenging them to see how much they care. These thoughts help them temporarily escape the growing anxiety and insecurity within. They convince themselves that, with a little patience, you'll return to your familiar role. However, while they remain immersed in denial, the reality is that you've already embarked on a new journey, focusing on yourself and your personal growth. They fail to see that your silence isn't a game, but a conscious decision to create necessary distance. This denial is only the first step in the process they must face, and ultimately, they will have to accept that what was once familiar has now changed forever. 3. Curiosity. After moving past denial, a new feeling begins to creep into their mind: curiosity. When you're no longer present in their life as before, when your messages and calls no longer come regularly, they start to wonder what's really going on. This curiosity isn't just about interest. It's a strong urge to find out more. They start scrolling through your social media, looking for clues about what you're doing, who you're meeting. They try to piece together bits of information from your posts, status updates, or comments. But instead of finding answers, they only come up with more questions. Why aren't you reaching out anymore? What's changed in your life? Have you found someone new? Or are you happier without them? This curiosity quickly turns into an obsession. They can't stop thinking about you, can't stop wondering why things have changed. Your absence forces them to confront questions they never asked before. While they're busy searching for answers, you're walking your own path, focusing on your growth and happiness. Their curiosity, though intense, can't fill the void you've left. It only makes them realize that you've become an irreplaceable part of their life, and your presence, or absence, holds a power they never truly understood. 4. Growing insecurity. When curiosity doesn't yield the answers they hoped for, insecurity begins to creep in and grow. They start to feel the loss more acutely as your presence fades from their life. What was once certain now becomes a void that's hard to fill. This insecurity isn't just a feeling of anxiety. It's a deep-seated fear that they've lost something precious that they can't get back. They begin to wonder, have you found someone else? Have you moved on without them? These questions spiral in their mind, making it impossible to shake off the growing sense of insecurity. What was once a certainty in their life, your attention, now becomes a big question mark, and with each passing day, this insecurity becomes harder to bear. They might become obsessed with checking your social media, looking for any signs that you're happier without them. But instead of finding peace, they only feel more anxious and insecure. Every action you take, no matter how small, becomes a source of worry. A vague post, a photo without explanation, or simply your prolonged silence. This insecurity pushes them into a state of constant tension, making them analyze every tiny detail, trying to figure out why things have changed. They might feel the relationship slipping out of their control, which only heightens their insecurity. Meanwhile, you continue on your path, steadfast and determined in your decision. Their insecurity, though growing, cannot shake your resolve. You've recognized your own worth and are no longer swayed by their emotional instability. This insecurity only highlights the imbalance in the relationship, where you've chosen to move forward while they remain stuck in their anxiety. This growing insecurity is a sign that they are gradually losing control and that the relationship they once thought was solid is now beginning to crumble. This is the moment when they must face the reality that you've turned a new page, and their insecurity cannot change that. 5. Desperation or letting go. As their insecurity reaches its peak, they are faced with a difficult choice. Either they sink into desperation and try to cling to you, or they accept reality and decide to let go. This is the stage where all the pent-up emotions within them become the most intense, and their actions can become unpredictable and filled with emotion. If they choose the path of desperation, you may notice them reaching out more frequently, perhaps through messages, calls, or even unexpected visits. They'll do everything in their power to get your attention, hoping to pull you back into their life. Apologies, promises to change, these may all be offered in the hopes that they can start over. They're trying to fill the void you've left, but the motivation behind these actions often stems not from true change, but from the fear of losing you forever. On the other hand, some might choose the path of letting go. They realize that continuing to hold on only brings more pain, and that keeping the relationship alive no longer makes sense. Letting go may be a painful decision, but it's also an acknowledgement that the relationship is no longer what it once was. They might not want to face this truth, but deep down, they know that continuing will only harm both of you. Walking away is their way of seeking peace, even if it means giving up something important in their life. Regardless of which path they choose, desperate clinging or letting go, you must remain steadfast in your decision. Returning out of compassion or pity won't solve the root problem. Instead, remember that you chose to step out of this relationship for a reason, to protect yourself and seek personal growth. The most important thing is that you continue on the path you've chosen with self-respect and determination. Their desperation or decision to walk away should not sway you. This is the time to reflect on the reasons that led you to make your initial decision and to keep moving forward. Ultimately, your decision is not just about freeing yourself, but also about showing them that the relationship has reached its end. 6. Reflection and regret. When all efforts to hold on fail, or when they've accepted letting go, a new phase begins: reflection and regret. This is the time when they start to look back on what happened and the decisions they made. In the silence and distance you've created, they begin to see their shortcomings and understand more clearly what they have lost. They recall the moments when you were there for them, the times you sacrificed, supported, and cared. Things they once took for granted or didn't fully appreciate now become painfully clear. This reflection often comes with a deep sense of regret as they realize they missed the chance to hold on to something truly meaningful in their life. Questions like, "What if?" start to arise in their mind. What if they had valued you more? What if they had acted differently? What if they hadn't let complacency cloud what really mattered? This regret is not just a temporary feeling, but a profound realization of mistakes that cannot be undone. While they are grappling with these emotions, you are in a different place. Moving forward, stronger, more confident, and clearer about what you want in life. Their regret is no longer your burden. Instead, you use this time to focus on yourself, continue growing, and explore new opportunities you might have missed while being caught up in the old relationship. The feelings of regret they are experiencing are the result of a genuine loss, but it's important for you to recognize that it's not your responsibility to fix or ease their pain. You made your decision based on your needs and values, and now it's time for you to move forward without looking back. What they feel now is a natural consequence of past actions, and your continued progress is the clearest testament to your strength and self-respect. 7. Longing for the past. As reflection and regret give way, another emotion begins to emerge within them: longing for the past. This is the moment when memories of the good times become more vivid than ever. The happy moments, the late-night conversations, the times you were there when they needed you. All of these start to flood their mind, stirring a deep longing for what has been lost. They begin to reminisce about the small details that once seemed insignificant, but now hold deep meaning. It could be the way you smiled, your subtle acts of care, or simply the sense of safety and comfort you brought into their life. These things, once a familiar part of their daily routine, now feel like a luxury they can no longer afford since you're no longer there. This longing isn't just about remembering the past. It's about the pain of realizing that they let something precious slip away. They understand that those moments have become memories, and there's no way to bring them back. The beautiful memories they once took for granted now become the source of their pain and regret. However, while they are consumed by nostalgia, you have moved on. You understand that the past has played its role in your life, but it's not where you should dwell. You have chosen to move forward, focusing on the present and building a future that is not bound by old memories. Their longing might be strong, but it's not enough to pull you back. You've learned that living in the past only obscures new opportunities, and that you deserve a life full of meaning and happiness, unburdened by what once was. Their longing for the past is a sign that they are coming to terms with the reality that their life is no longer complete without you. But for you, letting go of the past is the key to opening doors to new possibilities, allowing you to continue growing and moving towards something better in life. 8. Reevaluation. After working through feelings of nostalgia and longing for the past, they enter the stage of reevaluation. This is when they begin to confront reality more clearly, asking themselves why things turned out the way they did. They start to look back at the entire relationship, from the early moments to the point when you decided to walk away, in an effort to understand the deeper causes of the breakdown. During this reevaluation, they may recognize the mistakes they made, the opportunities they missed to keep the relationship strong. They start to see how their actions, or lack thereof, pushed you away. What they might have previously overlooked or taken lightly now become hard lessons they won't easily forget. This self-examination leads them to an important realization. Losing you wasn't just a coincidence or the result of external factors, but the consequence of their own decisions and behavior. They begin to see that neglect, indifference, or failure to invest in the relationship led to the current outcome. For them, this is a moment of clarity, but it's also a time when they must face the painful truth that what's done cannot be undone. These realizations are not just an acknowledgement of mistakes, but an acceptance that the relationship has changed forever and there's no going back. While they are immersed in this reevaluation, you have moved further along your path. You're no longer bound by the past or what happened. Instead, you've focused on personal growth and seeking new opportunities. Your decision wasn't just based on what occurred, but also on the values and goals you are now pursuing in life. Their reevaluation may bring them feelings of regret and sorrow, but for you, it's simply another part of your growth journey. You've learned from those experiences and are ready to continue on your path with confidence and determination. Their reevaluation no longer affects you because you've entered a new phase of life where self-respect and personal growth are what matter most. 9. Desperation and acceptance. Finally, after going through all the stages of shock, denial, longing, and reevaluation, they reach the final point of the emotional journey, desperation or acceptance. This is the decisive moment when they must face the reality that the relationship has changed beyond repair and that your absence has become an irreversible part of their life. If desperation takes hold, they might make one last effort to win you back. These efforts are often driven by the fear of losing you forever, rather than by a genuine desire to improve the relationship. They may persistently try to contact you, make grand gestures, or offer promises of change. But these actions, though full of emotion, are usually signs of panic and not the foundation for a healthy, renewed connection. On the other hand, if they choose acceptance, they will acknowledge that all efforts to save the relationship are futile and that continuing to struggle only brings more pain to both of you. Acceptance doesn't mean they've stopped caring. It means they've learned to respect your decision and understand that letting go is the best option for both sides. This is the acknowledgement that the relationship has reached its end and that letting go is necessary for both to move on with their lives. For you, this is a moment of affirmation. Whether they choose desperation or acceptance, the important thing is that you've remained steadfast in your decision. You chose to step out of this relationship not out of anger or resentment, but because you recognized your own worth and the need to continue on your own path. If acceptance comes from both sides, it can bring peace and closure to this chapter of both your lives. However, if they choose the path of desperation, remember that giving in to please or returning out of a sense of obligation will only cause more harm. You've learned to respect your own needs and desires, and that's what you must continue to pursue. The outcome of this story isn't about what they choose to do, but about the strength you've found to hold your ground, protect your personal growth, and maintain your happiness. Their choice, whether desperation or acceptance, does not change the path you've decided to follow. One that leads towards self-respect, freedom, and continuous growth. Conclusion: relationships are an emotional journey, and they don't always unfold the way we hope. When you decide to step back, focus on yourself, and leave behind unhealthy relationships, it's not just a necessary step, but also an affirmation of your own worth. Through each stage, from initial shock, denial, and curiosity, to insecurity, desperation, and finally acceptance, others will gradually realize your importance in their lives, though sometimes it may be too late to save what was lost. You've chosen to step out of the emotional whirlpool, create distance, and seek peace for yourself. This is not an easy journey, but it's necessary for you to grow and become the best version of yourself. Others may go through a wide range of emotions, but the most important thing is that you stay true to your decision, hold on to your self-respect, and keep moving forward. Remember, choosing to focus on yourself isn't selfish. It's essential for protecting your mental and emotional health. Be proud of the path you've chosen and continue moving toward the future with confidence and determination. Finally, if you find yourself in a similar situation, remember that you have the power to choose and change your life. Don't hesitate to step back from unhealthy relationships, and always remember that your absence can speak louder than any words. Let your silence become your most powerful voice. Thank you for watching. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Stay strong, stay confident, and keep moving forward, because you deserve a better life.